There is a quiet strength in a person who does not react to every word, every opinion, every disappointment, or every provocation. In a world that thrives on emotional reactions, outrage, and validation, the greatest power you can develop is emotional control, not because you do not feel, but because you choose how deeply you allow things to affect you. Acting as if nothing bothers you does not mean you are numb. It does not mean you are suppressing pain or pretending life is easy. It means you have decided that your peace is more valuable than your reactions. It means you understand that not every situation deserves your emotional energy, and not every person deserves access to your inner world. Many people give away their power without realizing it. They react instantly. They explain themselves endlessly. They defend their choices. They absorb the moods, opinions, and negativity of others. And over time, this constant emotional leakage leaves them drained, anxious, and unsteady. Emotional strength begins the moment you stop allowing external events to control your internal state. When you act unbothered, you create emotional boundaries without ever saying a word. People notice. They sense your stability. They realize they cannot manipulate you with guilt, anger, or chaos. Calm becomes your shield. Silence becomes your strength. And confidence becomes your natural presence. This does not mean you accept disrespect. It means you respond with intention, not impulse. You walk away instead of arguing. You observe instead of reacting. You choose distance instead of drama. Emotional maturity is knowing when to engage and when to let go. Boundaries are not built by speeches or explanations. They are built by consistency. When you stop reacting emotionally to disrespect, people either adjust their behavior or remove themselves from your life. Both outcomes protect your peace. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth. Your calm already communicates it. Detachment is often misunderstood. It is not indifference. It is discernment. It is the ability to care without carrying the weight of everything that happens around you. It is knowing that someone's behavior is a reflection of them, not a definition of you. When you detach emotionally, you stop personalizing what was never meant to be personal. The strongest people are not the loudest. They are the most grounded. They know their values. They trust their instincts. They are selective with their energy. And they understand that emotional discipline is a form of self-respect. Peace does not come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself. It comes from choosing calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and dignity over drama. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you strengthen your emotional muscles. Every time you choose silence over argument, you protect your inner balance. So act as if nothing bothers you, not because nothing matters, but because you matter too much to let everything disturb your peace. Emotional strength is not about building walls. It is about building wisdom. And boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about honoring yourself. When you master your emotions, you master your life. Emotional strength is not about pretending you don't feel pain, anger, disappointment, or fear. It is about learning how to experience those emotions without allowing them to control your behavior, your decisions, or your sense of self. Acting as if nothing bothers you does not mean becoming cold, distant, or detached from life. It means mastering the art of emotional control, choosing your response instead of reacting impulsively to every situation. Most people give away their power through emotional reactions. They react when they feel disrespected. They react when they feel ignored. They react when something does not go their way, and every reaction becomes an open invitation for others to influence their mood, their confidence, and their peace. When people can trigger you easily, they control you. Emotional control, therefore, is not silence, it is sovereignty. True emotional strength begins with awareness. You must first recognize what triggers you, why it triggers you, and what story you tell yourself in those moments. Is it fear of rejection, Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of not being enough. When you understand your emotional patterns, you stop being a prisoner to them. You begin responding from wisdom instead of wounds. Acting unbothered does not mean suppressing emotions. Suppression creates pressure, and pressure eventually explodes. Emotional mastery is different. It allows emotions to pass through you without letting them settle into your identity. You observe your feelings without obeying them. You acknowledge the discomfort, but you do not let it dictate your actions. This is where real strength is built. People with emotional control are often misunderstood. They are seen as calm, grounded, and unshakable, not because nothing affects them, but because they have learned that not everything deserves a reaction. They know that their energy is valuable. They understand that peace is not something to be defended loudly. It is something to be protected quietly. When you stop reacting emotionally, your presence changes. Conversations shift. Power dynamics shift. People begin to think before they speak to you. They hesitate before crossing your boundaries. Not because you are intimidating, but because you are composed. Calmness in a chaotic world is a form of authority. Emotional control also strengthens your inner confidence. When you realize that external events no longer dictate your internal state, you experience a deep sense of freedom. You stop seeking validation. You stop needing explanations. You stop wasting energy on proving yourself. You become centered, and from that center, you operate with clarity and intention. This strength requires practice. There will be moments when you feel provoked, hurt, or misunderstood. In those moments, pause, breathe. Ask yourself one powerful question. Is this worth my energy? Often, the answer will free you. Silence becomes your response. Composure becomes your shield. Wisdom becomes your voice. Acting as if nothing bothers you is not about emotional numbness. It is about emotional intelligence. It is about choosing dignity over drama, calm over chaos, and self-respect over emotional exposure. When you master this skill, you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to people who do not understand your depth. In a world where everyone reacts, the one who remains calm holds the power. Emotional control is not weakness. It is not avoidance. It is the highest form of strength. And when you learn to master it, you don't just protect your peace. You elevate your entire presence. This is where emotional strength begins. Acting as if nothing bothers you does not mean you feel nothing. It does not mean you deny pain, ignore emotions, or pretend wounds do not exist. True emotional strength is not numbness. It is mastery. It is the ability to feel deeply without being controlled by what you feel. It is knowing what deserves your reaction and what does not. And that distinction is what separates emotional chaos from emotional power. Many people believe strength looks like reacting loudly, defending instantly, or explaining endlessly. But real strength is quiet. It pauses, it observes, it chooses. When you allow every comment, every opinion, every action from others to disturb your inner state, you give away your power without realizing it. Emotional control is the decision to stop handing the remote control of your peace to the outside world. When you react impulsively, you reveal your triggers. You show people exactly where you are vulnerable. You teach them how to affect you. But when you remain calm, grounded, and composed, you create uncertainty, and that uncertainty commands respect. People do not know how to provoke someone who refuses to be provoked. Silence, when chosen consciously, becomes a form of authority. Emotional mastery begins with awareness. You must first notice what triggers you, why it triggers you, and what story you attach to it. Is it rejection? Is it disrespect? Is fear of not being enough? Most emotional reactions are not at the moment itself, but about old wounds asking for validation. When you understand this, you stop reacting to the present through the lens of the past. Acting unbothered does not mean you tolerate mistreatment. It means you refuse to let mistreatment shake your foundation. You can address issues calmly. You can set boundaries without anger. You can walk away without drama. Emotional strength allows you to respond with intention rather than emotion. And intention always carries more power than impulse. There is a quiet confidence that comes with emotional control. It shows in how you speak, how you listen, and how you exit situations that no longer serve you. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to people who misunderstand you. You no longer argue with those committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer chase closure from people who lack emotional depth. You simply choose peace. This level of control takes practice. It requires slowing down your reactions. It requires breathing before responding. It requires asking yourself, will this matter in a year? Is this worth my energy? Does reacting serve my future or my ego? Each time you choose calm over chaos, you strengthen your emotional muscles. Each time you refuse to engage in unnecessary conflict, you reclaim a piece of your power. Emotional mastery also strengthens boundaries. When you are emotionally reactive, boundaries collapse. You over-explain, you overgive, you overstay. But when you are emotionally grounded, boundaries become natural. You no longer need to announce them loudly. Your behavior enforces them. Your consistency maintains them. Your calm presence protects them. People often test those who are learning emotional control. They poke, provoke, and push, hoping to get a reaction. But when you remain steady, something shifts. The tests stop. The respect begins, not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated self-command. Acting as if nothing bothers you is not about appearing cold. It is about being centered. It is about knowing that your peace is more valuable than your pride. It is about understanding that not every battle deserves your energy, and not every opinion deserves your response. When you master your emotions, you master your presence. And when you master your presence, you move through the world with a strength that cannot be shaken, controlled, or taken away. Emotional control is not weakness. It is the highest form of power. Many people misunderstand emotional strength. They believe that acting unbothered means denying feelings, ignoring pain, or pretending nothing hurts. But true emotional power is not about suppression. It is about mastery. It is about knowing what you feel, understanding why you feel it, and choosing how you respond. Instead of letting emotions control your behavior, your words, and your peace. When you react to everything, you give everything power over you. A careless comment can ruin your mood. Someone's opinion can steal your confidence. A small inconvenience can consume your entire day. This constant reactivity drains your energy and weakens your presence. Acting as if nothing bothers you does not mean nothing affects you. It means you have trained yourself not to hand over control so easily. Emotional mastery begins with awareness. You must first recognize your emotional triggers. The words, situations, or people that cause instant reactions. These triggers are not signs of weakness. They are invitations for growth. When you become aware of them, you gain the ability to pause. And in that pause lies your power. The pause is where you decide whether to respond with wisdom or react with impulse. A strong personality is calm under pressure. Not because the person feels nothing, but because they have learned that every emotion does not deserve expression. Silence can be stronger than argument. Stillness can be louder than reaction. When you stop reacting immediately, you change the dynamic. People who expect a response lose control when they don't get one. People who seek attention through provocation feel powerless when you remain composed. Emotional mastery also requires detachment, not from people but from outcomes. When you are deeply attached to how others treat you, validate you, or respond to you, you become emotionally dependent. But when you detach from external approval, you reclaim your stability. You begin to understand that someone else's behavior is a reflection of them, not a definition of you. This mindset shifts everything. Criticism no longer feels like an attack. Rejection no longer feels like failure. Disrespect no longer feels personal. You stop internalizing what was never meant to define you. Instead of absorbing negativity, you observe it, process it, and release it. This is emotional intelligence at its highest level. Acting unbothered is also about protecting your inner world. Your peace is valuable. Your focus is sacred. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your attention. When you react less, you conserve emotional resources for what truly matters: your growth, your purpose, and your well-being. There is also dignity in restraint. When you control your emotions, you command respect without demanding it. People notice your composure. They feel your grounded energy. They sense that you cannot be easily shaken. This creates authority. Not loud authority, but quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't need to explain itself. Emotional mastery does not happen overnight. It is built through practice. Through choosing calm when chaos is available. Through choosing silence when ego wants to speak. Through choosing self-respect when emotion wants revenge. Each time you do this, you strengthen your inner discipline. Remember this: emotion machines are messengers, not masters. They are meant to inform you, not rule you. When you listen without obeying blindly, you evolve. When you feel deeply but respond wisely, you rise. Acting as if nothing bothers you is not about becoming cold or disconnected. It is about becoming centered, rooted, unshakable. It is about living from a place where your peace is not at the mercy of the world, but protected by your self-awareness, your discipline, and your inner strength. That is emotional mastery, and mastery is power. One of the greatest misunderstandings about emotional strength is the belief that it means becoming cold, distant, or unfeeling. In truth, emotional strength is not about shutting down your heart. It is about mastering your reactions. It is about learning when to engage and when to step back. It is about choosing peace over impulse, wisdom over drama, and self-control over emotional chaos. Acting as if nothing bothers you does not mean that nothing affects you. It means you refuse to let everything control you. Emotionally strong people feel deeply, but they do not react impulsively. They understand that not every comment deserves a response. Not every behavior deserves an explanation, and not every provocation deserves access to their energy. They know that emotional detachment is not avoidance. It is strategy. When you react emotionally to every situation, you hand your power away. You allow other people's moods and behaviors to dictate your internal state. You become predictable, reactive, and vulnerable. But when you practice emotional detachment, you regain control. You observe before you respond. You pause before you speak. You choose your reaction rather than being ruled by it. This level of control creates respect. People begin to notice that they cannot easily provoke you. They cannot manipulate your emotions. They cannot pull you into unnecessary conflict. Your calm becomes intimidating, not because it is aggressive, but because it is unshakable. Silence becomes your strength. Stillness becomes your message. Emotional detachment also protects your boundaries. When you are overly emotionally invested in everyone's opinions, approval, or validation, you become easy to drain. You over-explain. You over-give. You over-tolerate. Detachment allows you to care without losing yourself. It allows you to love without self-betrayal. It allows you to engage without emotional exhaustion. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you start caring wisely. Emotionally strong people do not argue to prove their worth. They do not chase understanding from those who refuse to listen. They do not fight to be chosen, valued, or respected. They understand that dignity does not require performance. It requires presence. There is also deep healing in emotional detachment. Many people carry emotional wounds because they replay conversations, relive disrespect, and rehearse pain over and over again. Detachment interrupts that cycle. It teaches you that just because something does not mean it deserves permanent residence in your mind. You acknowledge the feeling, learn from it, and release it. This is not suppression. It is processing with maturity. Detachment allows you to respond from rather than emotion. It allows you to see situations clearly, without distortion from anger, fear, or insecurity. It allows you to protect your mental space, which is one of the most valuable assets you have. And here is the truth many people need to hear: not everyone deserves emotional access to you. Some people only want a reaction. Some only want control. Some only want chaos. Emotional detachment is how you close the door without slamming it. It is how you maintain grace while reclaiming power. When you act as if nothing bothers you, you send a clear message, not of indifference, but of strength. You show that your peace is not fragile. You show that your emotions are disciplined, not suppressed. You show that you are rooted within yourself, not dependent on external approval. This is emotional mastery. This is self-respect. This is control. And control is the foundation of unbreakable emotional strength. There is a kind of strength that does not raise its voice, does not seek attention, and does not need to prove itself. It is the strength of inner peace. When you reach a place where external chaos no longer controls your emotions, reactions, or decisions, you step into a level of power that very few people ever achieve. Inner peace is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the ability to remain centered while the world around you tries to pull you apart. Most people believe power comes from control, controlling situations, controlling people, controlling outcomes. But true power comes from control of the self. When nothing easily bothers you, you stop giving your energy to every opinion, every insult, every provocation, and every disappointment. You no longer live in reaction mode, you live in intention. And that shift changes everything. Inner peace means you are no longer emotionally available to chaos. It means you can listen without absorbing negativity. You can observe without internalizing drama. You can walk away without explaining yourself. When people realize they can no longer trigger you, manipulate you, or drain you, they either adjust their behavior or remove themselves from your life. Either way, you win. This level of emotional strength does not come from pretending you don't feel pain. It comes from learning how to process pain without letting it control you. It comes from understanding that not everything deserves a response, not everyone deserves access to your emotions, and not every situation deserves your energy. When you stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally, you reclaim your peace. Inner peace also sharpens your boundaries. When you are calm within, you no longer feel the need to over-explain, over-apologize, or over-give. Your no becomes clear and confident. Your silence becomes powerful. Your presence becomes steady. People begin to feel your strength not because of what you say, but because of what you no longer tolerate. There is a deep confidence that comes with emotional stability. It is the confidence of someone who knows themselves, trusts themselves, and is no longer seeking validation from the outside world. When you act as if nothing bothers you, not out of denial but out of discipline, you communicate one message clearly. I am in control of myself, and self-control is one of the most respected traits in any human being. Inner peace also protects your future. Emotional reactions often lead to regret. Words spoken in anger, decisions made in fear, actions driven by insecurity. When you cultivate calmness, you make better choices. You speak with clarity. You move with purpose. You respond from wisdom rather than wounds. Over time, this creates a life that feels lighter, more aligned, and more intentional. But inner peace requires practice. It requires daily commitment. It requires choosing calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and wisdom over impulse. It requires you to pause before reacting, to breathe before responding, and to remember that your peace is more valuable than winning an argument or proving a point. The world will always test you. People will challenge you. Situations will provoke you. But when you master your inner world, nothing external can overpower you. You become emotionally self-sufficient. You become unshakable. You become someone who moves through life with quiet strength and deep resilience. Inner peace is not an escape from life. It is the foundation that allows you to face life without losing yourself. And when you protect your peace, you protect your power, your focus, and your future. Inner peace is the ultimate power. Guard it, strengthen it, live from it. At the end of it all, emotional strength is not about pretending you don't feel. It is about choosing not to let your feelings control you. It is about understanding that not everything deserves your reaction. Not everyone deserves your explanation. And not every moment deserves your energy. When you act as if nothing bothers you, you are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. Clear about who you are, what you allow, and what no longer has permission to disturb your peace. You stop chasing validation. You stop proving your worth. You stop reacting to noise, drama, and distractions that were never meant to define you. Strength is built in silence. Power grows in restraint. Confidence deepens when you learn to pause instead of explode, to observe instead of absorb, and to walk away instead of engage. Boundaries become stronger when they are calm, consistent, and unapologetic. You will realize that peace is not something the world gives you. Peace is something you protect. And once you protect it, everything changes. The way people speak to you, the way they approach you, and the way they treat you, not because you demanded respect, but because your presence quietly requires it. So choose composure over chaos. Choose self-control over self-explanation. Choose emotional discipline over emotional exhaustion. Let your calm become your strength, your silence become your shield, and your boundaries become your freedom. Because when nothing controls your emotions, nothing controls you.